Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 3 of Nolan's Aviation Happy Hour. Today we are joined by two of the finest people you'll ever meet in your life, ladies and gentlemen. Big round of applause, drum roll please. Mr. FredwardFlies and Flyin'WithRyan. I went to the wrong screen. We're off to a swimming start here, but here we are. We are ready to rock and roll. A little bit late, as some of you have kindly pointed out in the chat. Yes, we are running a little bit behind this evening, but we are here. We are ready to go. If you watched the last episode, you saw Ryan over here with me. We were missing out on Fred. Glad Fred's going to join us this evening. Fred, go ahead and introduce yourself to the kind folks out there.
Yeah, I'm FredwardFlies, better known as Freddy to some of you. I'm an accountant by day and a huge nerd by night. So excited to join the podcast.
Yeah, we are happy to have you here. Ryan, you want to say something?
Happy to be back, man.
Yeah, it's good to have the three of us together because we've got some stuff to talk about this evening. There's been a lot of goings on in the aviation world since the last time we did a show. And also, this past weekend, for the first time that I can recall, all three of us were on a trip and we went somewhere different and we all flew on one of the big three American airlines. I flew on Delta, Fred flew on United, and Ryan flew down to Charlotte. So, Fred, tell us about your trip because you had the least eventful one. We're going to get you out of the way as soon as we can here. And then Ryan and I have got some stories to tell.
Yeah, my trip almost went so well, you were like waiting for something to go wrong. We were dozens of minutes late on arrival back home. That really set us back. But I mean, United, we'll talk more about it surely in a few minutes, but I just think they're just booming. They're so reliable. It's such an easy flight to Houston and back. We got a nice little cheap first class upgrade on the flight out, and we got to try out their new pre-order economy food on the way back. I thought it was a really nice experience from the experience in the Houston airport on board. Really no issues. So much so, in fact, that I picked up this handy little credit card application for some food for thought for United. So it was that good.
Yeah, that is definitely the most positive story that you will hear from our travels this week. There, nothing really happened to Fred. 737, 900 ER both ways.
A max 9 on the way out and an old-fashioned 900 with no extra fuel tanks for the flight home.
That's right. I did hear about that. Did you get the smokehouse burger by chance?
I did, and that was really good. And,
Yeah.
my wife got the Al Pastor tacos, which were equally presented horribly. It just kind of threw them into a bowl. But of course, all food ends up in the same place. So once we kind of got the taco in one piece and able to be transported to the mouth, it was fantastic as well. So 2 for 2 on the in-flight catering.
Yeah, that really makes me feel like a piece of garbage. Ryan, we had somewhat similar experiences. You, not as bad as me, but still pretty bad. You flew on our old pal American Airlines. Just a quick flight from BWI to Charlotte for you this weekend. Should have been a simple round trip, but it wasn't that, was it?
It should have been, but I spent more time delayed than I did in the air. Yeah, we got to the airport rather early on Friday because we were just ready to go. So we just went for it. Figured we'd kill some time around BWI, and then got there, parked, and found out we were delayed. Like, I guess kind of as we were entering. I don't know if it was before or after security, but it doesn't matter. We went and got some food, and yeah, Americans not very good at staying on time these days. So our plane was delayed coming out of, I think it was leaving somewhere in the Caribbean.
Mexico City, your inbound was coming from.
Thank you, Fred.
You're welcome.
Yes, it was from Mexico City. It was Mexico City to Charlotte to BWI, and then back. But yeah, so we just had a nice long, it was at least an hour delay before we got in the air. And the real shame of it was that both flights were quite good, like once on board. I still think Americans 45 boarding groups is a little silly especially in the way that they do it, considering they call the next group up before that group has even finished boarding. But whatever. Yeah, both flights were good. They were comfortable. We were just in regular economy both ways, and it was only an hour flight, but I was never like uncomfortable in my seat at all. Uh, and we got our snacks, got our drinks, absolutely smashed a Biscoff cookie. But yeah, then on the way back, we found out, luckily before we even left for the airport, that we were delayed by like 3 hours, 2 hours, something like that. So yeah, lots of delays on American's part, which really dampered the situation because, like I said, both flights were good. We had American's new free Wi-Fi both ways, and it worked fantastic. I was watching YouTube on the flight back, and didn't have a single drop in quality, didn't have a single drop in, connection or anything. It was great.
Yeah, that's good. Unfortunately, I have to tell my story now. So I don't want to, take anything away from Fred's fantastic trip down to Houston, or Ryan, your total of 5 hours ish of delays. But
Now, feel free to take away because you've earned every bit you're about
Yeah,
to
you
take.
have absolutely earned it.
yeah, Delta really screwed the pooch. And Ryan, you don't even really, well, neither of you know like the whole everything that happened and how miserable we actually were. So this is
I read like actually none of what you were saying
yeah.
to them, so yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So, as I've done many a time, we're flying down to Florida and connecting through Atlanta. This was last Thursday, or sorry, last Friday, and we have an evening flight out of BWI. So I'm thinking in my head, go to work on Friday, get off a little bit early, go to the airport, and then we'll land in Sarasota, Florida at like 10:40 at night, and we'll get off and head to the Orioles spring training game the next day on Saturday, which didn't start until 1 p.m. Okay. And we get to the airport, everything's fine. We go to the gate. We've looked, our inbound from Atlanta is about 20 minutes delayed, but nothing huge happens. So we walk around. Go to the BWI Green Turtle in the decon course, get some chicken tenders and crush
Sweet.
those, and walk back to the gate there, where we see that we are delayed a little bit more. Which again, no big deal. Walk around to the E gates. British Airways is there by now. We go over, see two 787s parked next to each other, and life is good. We go back to the gate. Boarding starts shortly thereafter. We get on the plane. Pilot comes on the intercom. He says, we're going to push back. We are going to get going down to Atlanta, hour and a half flight, whatever it is. And we push back, and we're getting ready to go. And we're sitting there, and the engines are not starting. So in my head, my mind's spinning. And then we get pulled back into the gate, and I immediately turn to Dakota, who's sitting next to me, and I'm like, something's not right. Pilot comes on the intercom. He says, there's a ground stop in Atlanta. There are thunderstorms over the airport. We are going to sit here for a minute, and then we will push back when that gets lifted. Should be about 20 to 30 minutes. Probably about 10 minutes later, he comes back on, tells us that there was a massive hailstorm at the airport, and that all of the planes that were sitting on the ground in Atlanta need to be put back at the gate, inspected, and then they can leave. So at that point, they deplane us. They say it's going to be about 90 minutes, and we are free to roam around the decon courses at BWI, and there's only so much you can see there, especially at that time of night. Some fun goings-ons in the other hallway of the decon course. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And then we go back to our holding area. We board the plane again, and then we just kind of sit on the plane for a little bit. We have a departure time. It's like 9:30 p.m. We were supposed to leave at 6:45. Like, okay, whatever. We push back. We taxi out. We sit on the I don't know. Is it a de-ice pad over there by 1-5 right? We were leaving off of 1-5 right. De-ice pad, sit there for about 20 minutes. And then we get in the air. We get down to Atlanta, land about 2.5 hours late. And there are no gates at the airport because all of the planes that got towed back in are not able to leave quite yet. So do that. We sit on the ground. We wait for a gate, and then we pull into a gate. It's probably midnight at this point, okay? Can you go away?
Your girlfriend initiated that. I just wanted to tell us.
Was that a cat
Yeah.
or girlfriend. You don't have a cat. That was
No, it's my
No,
brother. It's my brother.
that was
Oh,
brother.
your brother. Sorry.
Just
Yeah.
want to interrupt. My lovely wife is in the chat. Yes, there's a green turtle at the airport. It's in the deconcourse. You have not been to that part yet. It's separate from um it's separate from the area that there's two different security checkpoints. So we always go either A
Not for
through
long.
C, and yeah, there will eventually be a connector there, probably sometime by 2030.
Hopefully.
But yes, so that's a part of the airport you've not been to yet. But when we do go that way, we fly Delta or United or something out of there, maybe Alaska, go back
Frontier,
to
Spirit.
Seattle. But
Yeah.
definitely will not be flying, will not be doing that. But yeah, if we fly Delta or United or something that flies out of the D's, we will definitely go to Green Turtle next time. Sorry, I just wanted
No,
to
you're
answer
good. No,
that.
you're good. So we sit on the we're like, I don't know, 200 yards away from our gate, and we sit for an hour and a half, and then we finally pull into our gate. It's like 1:55 in the morning, and there's no gate agent there to pull a jetway to the aircraft. So we have to wait another 20 minutes for a gate agent to come over and pull the jetway to the aircraft. And then our connecting flight to Sarasota has also been delayed because of the same situation. The inbound from Memphis took off really late. They had to sit for, I think that plane sat on the apron for like 2.5 hours waiting for a gate. Finally opened up, not the original gate. The plane on Flighty, I was looking, it said the plane was at C, I don't know, 55, right? And our departure gate was going to be B6. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So we go to B6, says 2:55 departure for Sarasota. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. It has passed that. So we're still waiting. Flight attendants show up. There's no gate agent, no pilots, but the plane is sitting there. But the flight attendants cannot go down the jet bridge until there's someone there to unlock the door for them. And then it keeps getting pushed back 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And then we get delayed until 10:30 the next morning. So I look over to Dakota. I'm like, let's find a cheap room. Let's get it. And so we find a Holiday Inn Express for $98. Thank God, that was very cheap. And then we get on the shuttle bus. We take it to the Holiday Inn Express. We go up to the front desk, and then whoops, we took the wrong Holiday Inn Express shuttle bus. We're at the wrong Holiday Inn Express. We have to Uber at 4 in the morning to the other Holiday Inn Express, where we get checked in, get in bed. We fall asleep by 5 a.m. Alarm is set for 7:45 the next morning. Get out of bed, get to the airport. Security lines are horrible, which we'll talk about later in the show. Again, we waited at about an hour and 20 minutes, which is as long as I've ever waited for
It's
security.
bonkers.
Need to get that pre-check going here soon. And then we get to the gate for our 10:30 a.m. departure, and there's no flight crew there. So we wait. There is a gate agent. A gate agent finally shows up, but no flight crew. He keeps telling us, keeps updating us on the situation. We get pushed back like 20 minutes at a time until finally we see flight attendants get on board. And then the gate agent is like, the pilots are on the airfield. They are on airport property. We can start the boarding process. So we start the boarding process, get on board, and then we sit there. The pilot has boarded, but we're still waiting on the first officer. And then finally, after like 40 minutes after we're fully boarded, the first officer gets on board. And again, flight attendants, armed doors, cross check, and all call. They do that. And then we hear the exact opposite. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for deboarding. They open the boarding door. The pilot comes on the intercom and he says, "We're sorry, but our first officer has forgotten his iPad. He needs to go retrieve it from the crew lounge." Oh, great. And then everybody, so I know, we all know what an iPad entails for a first officer. You know, we use Navigraph charts with our flight simulation and all that stuff. So we understand the importance of having that EFB with them. But the general public hears iPad and they're thinking that the pilot's probably watching Baby Shark while they're flying the plane, which is just not true. And they are in a boo hiss state of, which I understand. I mean, we've been delayed for 11 hours at this point. But then finally, the first officer gets back on board with his iPad. We get loaded up and we get airborne down to Sarasota, and we miss the Orioles game. We land at like 3:30. It's like the 7th inning, which we are just happy to be there at this point. Not worried about going to the game. And we ended up going to the game. The next day, spent 5 very comfortable days in Sarasota, the Sarasota area, played a couple rounds of golf, and we were looking forward to getting back last night at a decent time, which for the most part was happening on our flight from Sarasota to Atlanta. But then again, we get to Atlanta, which I've never had an issue in Atlanta. Fred, I know you're very much in the same boat with me. Minimal issues going through Atlanta. Ryan, not so much, but you've only been there the one time. And another crew delay. So our pilots are both there on time. They both board. Our inbound was like, again, 20 minutes delayed from Fort Lauderdale. And there was some thunderstorms in the area. But the pilots get on, and we sit there again for another 2 hours waiting for these flight attendants to get on the plane. And then we finally get on last night, 2 hours late, push back, and there's no service on the plane because it's bumpy. And it was just a pretty abysmal day of traveling. Both of them were. So, yeah, it was an adventure for sure. I'm happy that it's over, and I am looking forward to our next flight coming up next weekend, and hopefully that goes a little bit smoother. But just
Wait, where are you going next weekend?
New
well,
York.
we are going to New York next weekend, but that's all I really want to hint at for now. But yes, we
I
will
forget
we will be traversing the air and the ground to see what happens there. Anyway, so that's what's happening there. We're here. I'm home. So
Hey,
that's
my
all that
bad.
matters. We're all home. We're all safe. Again, I'd rather be delayed 5 hours than 6 feet under. So there's all that. Anyway, Ryan,
I
you
have
and
to
I are
say,
taking a trip. Oh, sorry, Fred, go for it.
no, I just want to comment on your dilemma first. First of all, I know that Delta's crew scheduling system, from what I've heard, is archaic, and they need to revamp it, but there's no really good time to. So it's on their plans, from what I hear, but it's all the airline systems are 30 years old, just because it's hard to upgrade to something new in the middle of your operations. But I will say, I was thinking about this when you were in the middle of your whatever that was, and we've scheduled between the three of us so many 3 hour layovers while flying Delta, and they almost always blow up directly in our face. I was going to Puerto Rico in the fall. Flight out, I was delayed an hour and a half. It was during the shutdown, and then flight back, my inbound flight was canceled outright, and I was rebooking a flight that gave me like a half an hour connection. There was a Salt Lake City adventure 2 years ago. Um, it's just like every single time we try to give Delta 3 hours, that's when they decide that we're actually going to nuke our operations. It's a fun game we're playing.
Meanwhile, American is like, how would you like 35 minutes at Charlotte?
Exactly, 35 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, speaking of the Southeast, specifically Atlanta, again, Ryan and I will be with Dakota at AvCon on April 4th. That is the day before Easter. We're looking forward to hanging out with a whole bunch of people down there, cool people, including Jeb Brooks, Noel Phillips, and others among us. So it should be a good time. My dad's in the chat. Hello.
What's up?
And we're looking forward to that. So that's what's happening there. We have
So
discussed all of
jazzed.
our personal stories now from this past week. Let's get into what's actually happening in the world of aviation, shall we, friends?
Yes,
Let's do it.
sir.
All right, so we talked about BWI, talked about how I was sitting there for a while, and a whole bunch of other Southwest passengers are also going to be spending some more time at BWI and Chicago Midway for that matter, because effective June 4th of this year, Southwest is officially ending service at Washington Dulles and Chicago O'Hare airports. They are directing travelers to other area airports, so all Chicago traffic to Midway. And then the alternate list for Dulles was quite extensive. It was Reagan, it was BWI, it was Richmond, and even Philadelphia on that list, which, I mean, it makes sense. They're trying to simplify their route network a little bit. But what do you guys make of this one?
I mean, O'Hare, I think, never made any sense. They were kind of shuffled into the Terminal 5 there with the International Airlines. They were there just because there's so many people in Chicago. And they're like, what if we get a little share of the market on the north side? Dulles, they had their foot in the door there, I think, to Phoenix and Denver exclusively. Um, but United, the way that United's growing, and just so much more favorable in every way to Southwest, especially with all the changes Southwest has made, why would anyone fly Southwest from Dulles to Denver, for example? This is heartbreaking for the tens of customers who were connecting via Dulles on Turkish Airlines from a Southwest flight. So maybe Turkish will start BWI service in the near future, but that's a separate topic. Yeah, those were two airlines that didn't really add a lot to Southwest's network, and that probably just spread out crew costs. So I say come on over to BWI. It's a nicer airport, and you'll have a better time here anyway.
I agree, and I don't really care how inconvenient it is for them because it's inconvenient for me that there's absolutely no international service at BWI. So,
Right.
welcome to our world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what this does for frequencies to those Southwest served airports at BWI. Hopefully, we'll maybe get an extra daily Denver or an extra daily Phoenix. I don't think that's completely out of the question. Also,
Yeah.
Fred, you mentioned something earlier this week that we didn't put on our notes here, but I do want to talk about a little bit: the possibility of Southwest lounges.
Sure. Well, it's more than a possibility. They've actually signed a contract in Honolulu for lounge space. And what Southwest is doing is they're following the industry. And there's a dynamic right now that passengers are more and more willing to pay for something perceived as premium. That lounges, which are technically still a premium experience, even though anyone with 25 bucks can get in now. Um, what they're doing is they're just figuring out that the number one reason people don't fly Southwest is because you can't get into a lounge, as well as no first class seating, no food on board, no all these other things that airlines provide. Um, so they're looking to eliminate the reasons people don't fly Southwest. And for that reason, they're starting to institute lounges at a number of their stations. BWI is on the list. I don't know where it's going to go yet. I look forward to finding out. But places like Hobby and Midway, Denver, and Honolulu and Los Angeles were a few that were explicitly listed as destinations for Southwest lounges. So they're really just trying to abandon, for better or for worse, what made them Southwest 20 years ago, which doesn't really work right now. And you can ask Spirit and Frontier exactly about the low cost model. They're trying to be an airline that people think about for premium and luxury services where they pay more money. And lounges are a real big hurdle for them to clear to get that to happen.
Yeah, we walked by the club at BWI when we were there a few times, and it just
The
doesn't.
closet. Yeah.
Yeah, the closet at BWI. It just
Right.
doesn't scream invitation to it. There was a line. Shockingly enough, there was a line at the door. I've heard it's a very small space over there, but
Yeah, when there are 14 seats, there's going to be a line.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. But it would be interesting to see what a Southwest lounge would look like at BWI, and even where the location would be, maybe in that new AB connector that's over there.
Yeah.
All right, big three. Delta, United, American. We touched on them already. We all had our personal experiences, but man, they are. And I'll touch on it on this week's video. I don't want to give too terribly much away. It's Delta and United video, not really talking about American, but American's really, really trying to get this domestic network down before they expand into the thin long haul or the thin transcontinental routes, but they are doing that now. They do have some A321 Neo XLRs in service, and then they are continuing to take delivery of their 789Ps, but United is also taking delivery of some new refreshed Polaris cabin 787-9s, and I believe they are set to take delivery of some nice new A321 XLRs as well. Did you guys see that? What is it? What is it called? It sounds like an Amtrak train. What do they call it? The Coastliner or
The
something?
coastliner.
The,
Yep.
the Coastliner,
The
yes.
Coastliner, the United Coastliner, the Amtrak United Coastliner. They should really have a sponsorship deal with Amtrak, I think, after naming it the Coastliner. Should be interesting to see. But all of this is going to come
Well,
with
they
a
clearly need
price.
They clearly need the money because their sticker game has been pretty weak lately.
Yeah, we talked about that when Fred wasn't here with the 100 years liveries and which one's the best. And funny enough, actually, I think I saw every possible Delta special livery this weekend while I was in Atlanta. There wasn't one I didn't see. So there's that.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
the strategies of the big three are going to take a hit here because jet fuel prices are going up. And like most of the things that we're going to talk about in this episode, this is not a positive thing. They've spiked to roughly $3.93 per gallon this week, and that's all due to what is happening in the Middle East right now. So, Some airlines are even saying that they are going to increase their fares. I know most of those were international carriers, Lufthansa and Cathay Pacific, I believe, two of the carriers that said that. So, will be interesting to see if any of the domestic carriers in the United States are seemingly affected by this.
I'm sure it will happen. I mean, that's the biggest cost
Yeah,
in flight
Lufthansa and
is
Cathay
fueling it.
announced it,
Yeah.
but they're all different. Yeah.
And we did see scalebacks in 2022 for similar reasons here. Probably gonna have to, if this is a continuing issue, which I don't see any resolution anytime soon to our jet fuel issue, that'll probably be the case too. I did see also Delta preemptively getting ahead of a winter storm coming later this week to Minneapolis. They've already canceled about 200 flights up that way. So the mix
God
of the
damn.
jet fuel, the mix of the weather, and the mix of the TSA agents not being paid as of today, really not doing too well. Fred, you had some intel on the ground the other day at Houston Hobby Airport. Tell us what was going on over there.
Yeah, I had a buddy flying out of Hobby. Fortunately, we flew out of Bush Intercontinental the day before. But Hobby was one of 3 airports that was really getting the short end of the stick with the TSA shortage, and it had more to do with DHS funding. That's a whole thing. That's not for this happy hour. But the difference between the non pre-check and the pre-check line was so mind-boggling. My friend waited 8 minutes in security for pre-check, which is honestly on the longer side of a pre-check line. But the non TSA pre-check line was a 3-hour wait. So for all you people out there who don't think you want to get to the airport early, get to the airport early just in case. But the pre-check line or the non-pre-check line was 3 hours at Hobby. It was very similar in New Orleans, and I believe Atlanta as well. As Nolan experienced over the weekend, it was just a nightmare, and people missing their flights. My friend's flight was about 40% full on a sold out flight on the way out. So um, it's just a total mess that, coupled with the rise in jet fuel prices, is really cooking up to be something that's not enviable for airlines.
Yeah, and both of you guys have pre-check. I don't have pre-check. I'm the odd man out here. So go ahead and explain to the folks out there who don't have pre-check and to myself, why is the pre-check line so much faster besides the exclusivity of the number of people who have pre-check compared to the number of people who use the general boarding lines?
Well, you don't have to take your shoes off. You don't have to take anything out of your bags. So you walk up, you grab a dog bowl, you set it down, and you empty your pockets into it. You put everything that you have on the thing, shove it into the scanner, and you don't have to do the, you know, hands out T-pose thing scanner. They just walk you through a metal detector like you're at a concert or something, and then as long as you don't beep and they don't see anything in your bag, you are done. You put the stuff back in your pockets and you're like, dude, I would be surprised if our friend that dropped us off when we were coming home, I would be surprised if he was even like out of the airport loop by the time we were through security. Like where he dropped us, the door he dropped us at was like right by the pre-check line. We just walked in and we were through security. I mean, less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is it quicker to unpack your bag completely, or is it quicker to just walk through? There's your answer to that.
Right.
And strip halfway down. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the Atlanta pre-check line when we went through our general boarding was 8 minutes, and our wait time was 49 minutes, and it ended up obviously being longer than that because it was just absolutely packed. I'm sure the cancellation of many of the prior night's flights didn't help that, but it's
mhm.
just a testament there of to why pre-check is worth it and why I will be getting pre-check before our April 4th excursion down to Atlanta because I personally do not want to be caught in the Easter rush traffic that will probably be at the Atlanta airport security map. Speaking of
Chat
airports,
and everyone listening, he's been saying this for
it's true.
over a year. I will believe it when I see a known traveler number.
Speaking of airports that are in the southeastern portion of the United States, we are talking about our favorite airport this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Raleigh Durham International Airport back in the news
I was
tonight.
blindsided. Didn't know this was going to be a part of it.
So, KLM has actually just gone ahead as of 30 minutes prior to this show and announced Amsterdam to Raleigh Durham flights. So let's go over to the screen here and we will pull this up. So
You're kidding, right?
I am not kidding. This is not a joke. This is KLM commencing flights to Raleigh Durham on March 6th of next year. They're going to operate 3 times weekly using the 787-10 Dreamliner until November 1st, 2027. So if you're in the Raleigh Durham area, this is just another transatlantic service for you to look out for, including what? They have a London flight on American. They see Lufthansa there. And
They certainly have Canada.
They certainly have Canada, yes. So KLM to Raleigh Durham starts next year. Should be interesting to see. They just keep growing over there, don't they, Fred?
They sure do. What you have is a really, really affluent population that hasn't been really claimed by any one airline. Whereas, Baltimore, the population is less affluent, less willing to spend, and it's been dominated by Southwest. But you have unclaimed territory with a rapidly growing population willing to spend money on premium seating, which is a perfect combination for expansion. So they're by far the smallest airport, half the size of BWI, but they have transatlantic service on all 3 alliances, 2 SkyTeam, plus a couple of unaffiliated airlines as well. It'll get me going because Baltimore, I think, is they're punching above their weight big time, and it's just a growing market, and there's really not a whole lot you can fault the airlines for because they're just trying to capitalize on that. But it is really, really something to watch.
Yeah, Ryan, what do you think about this one?
Well, what I think is that I'm really, really glad that Fred just provided that in-depth analysis. Because Fred, what you just witnessed was a masterclass of Nolan Photoshop.
You know what? I'm so glad you said that because I'm on Ishryan's Twitter right now and it's not there, and I'm like, he deleted it, and now I'm happier because I want everything in Raleigh to go wrong because they don't deserve anything they have. So, all right, we're back. We're good.
Oh boy, that was a brainchild of both of us earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, we came together.
I saw your tweet about Amsterdam to RDU, and I was like, I just texted him, and I was like, let's do a bit with Fred tonight, and we'll just. I just said let's talk up RDU, and then Nolan hit me with that like an hour ago, and so we just decided to roll with it. So you made it even better by breaking it down. I wasn't expecting that, so thank you.
I provide analysis. What can I say?
Yep.
Yes, you do.
We'll have to wait probably 2 weeks max for that real announcement. So
yep, I know it's gonna happen. Yeah. Never wrong, just early. Oh
right.
Boy. Alrighty. Well, that was that was better than I could have expected. Honestly, thank you, Fred. We appreciate that very much. I wish you would have kept going. Honestly, I wish we had 5 more minutes of that before we told you that it was fake. But alas. All right, we got to talk about.
I couldn't stop laughing. I'm sorry. I
couldn't either. I couldn't. Laughing. I kept looking at you, Ryan. I couldn't keep it together. I'm happy he didn't. He was more focused on finding the actual tweet than looking at our faces to see that we were laughing at him.
I had like 7 tabs open looking for it.
All right. It would not be an episode of Nolan's Aviation Happy Hour if we did not talk about the yellow taxi that flies to cities in the United States and the Caribbean and Mexico, because Spirit Airlines is just all up in the news recently. Every week we've got something new to talk about. Last show we talked about their supposed New Orleans, Louisiana mega hub that is on the horizon. And then the week prior to that, we talked about them actually entering bankruptcy. They sold 20 planes, and they're going to continue getting rid of planes. They're going to downsize their fleet to about 80. And I did see today or yesterday that they recalled 500 pilots to come back. I heard that their crews were running low there. They had to go get the crews back. But as of today, March 13th, They have a reorganization plan to emerge from Chapter 11 bankruptcy by early summer. Again, they are going to downsize their fleet and their network. They're going to focus on their high yield markets like Fort Lauderdale and Newark, which doesn't really come as a surprise to anybody. The ultra low cost business model in the United States not working out too well. But Frontier seems to be doing a little bit better than Spirit. Fred, do you have any idea why Frontier is not in the news like Spirit is right now?
Yeah, it's weird because Spirit at least introduced a quasi first class, right, with their big front seat to kind of capture a little of the premium market. But Frontier was a little more established and knew what they were doing. At least a little while ago, they had the Denver hub and they kind of had their spot there. Frontier just throws darts at the wall. I'm sorry, Spirit throws darts at the wall to try and operate routes for months at a time. They can't get established. They can't really earn economies of scale because they fly a couple times a week on most routes. So they're really, and they're offering a product, of course, that people generally don't want. So they're really not making good economic decisions and not allowing themselves to start to earn the market share that airlines need to become profitable. Um, we all have our opinions on Spirit, but obviously you have to root for them from an industry standpoint because you need low cost competition to keep the bigger airlines honest price wise. But for all the reasons we talked about, Southwest doing what they're doing to be more premium, they're doing that because the Spirit and Frontier model largely doesn't work. So we're rooting for them, but Frontier's a little bit more calculated. They allow their routes to mature a little bit better, and they're just a little, I think, smarter about the way they go about things. And Spirit just kind of tries to fly whatever they can. So I don't know. That's an interesting topic, though.
Yeah, it's something I've been wondering about for a long time, and I just randomly asked you right there because I legitimately don't know. I did see something today also that said Spirit's going to add an extra row of big front seats. Not sure if that's accurate or not, but I did see that. So Ryan, whenever you board your next Spirit flight, you have a larger chance to have just someone sitting in your big front seat when you get on board.
Well, I won't be flying Spirit ever again, so that will not be an issue. But that's great news, I suppose. Like Fred said, I have no interest in flying Spirit. I'll probably never fly them again, but their mere existence does help to keep the other ones, on the low end of pricing and all that. So I am also, I guess, like Fred said, rooting for them for sure. I really would have kind of liked it if they just got absorbed by JetBlue uh, when that was being floated around, but it didn't happen. So, yeah, just have to hope they survive, and no one's forcing me to book with them. So everybody
Yeah,
wins, I guess.
Southwest prices at BWI would probably go through the roof if it weren't for Spirit or Frontier. I mean,
They are
Well,
already going through the roof,
that's
and
true.
Spirit and Frontier are still there.
Yeah. Let's go back to Rebecca's question because the TSA touch list thing. I saw that on my Delta app as we were flying out this weekend, and I don't understand what that is either. So, do either of you have any idea what that is? Because I have not been reading about it at all.
yeah, I ended
No.
up with it on I think it was a Delta flight. Basically, you need a passport on file for the airline, from what I understand. It's a way, if you ever fly internationally out of the United States, you actually don't scan your ticket. You stare into a face recognizer, or like a face scanner, and that marks you as boarded, and then you board that way. So it's a more secure um, ticketing method, I guess. But it's a way to kind of just bypass the whole process where you hand the agent your card and you have to stoop to stand on the camera or whatever. You don't have to stoop, Nolan, but I do.
Yeah,
Um, and
Nolan needs something to stand on.
I need a step
right,
stool. Yeah.
they have a stool there just for him. But it's just kind of an extra level of security, like providing a second ID that allows your face to be in the system, for lack of a better description of it, and just kind of bypasses another line and allows you to move through that initial scan faster. So, from everything I can understand, you need a passport to be enrolled into Touchless ID, and then just like PreCheck itself, you need every individual airline that you have an account with to have that on file so that it shows up on your ticket when you board.
Okay, so two things I don't have: pre-check and a passport. Two things I need to get:
Yeah,
pre-check and a passport. There. Yeah.
Now that I know that, I might do that with all of mine. That would speed up the security process even more.
Yeah, that you know, These innovations in technology, they're just going to keep making it easier for the traveler, I think. Until something bad happens again, unfortunately. That's exactly where my mind goes. Until something bad happens, it'll keep getting easier and easier. Fred, you're the only one here who's flown on Southwest since the assigned seating, correct?
That's right.
So, what did you make of it? Because I keep seeing people talk about that. Ryan and I touched on it last show, but we have not flown on Southwest since then. How is it?
Yeah, it's people hate change, and that's one something you have to kind of bake into the opinions of those on online. I think that assigned seating in general provides an added sense of security when you're booking, so you can just be sure that you're sitting with the people that you're flying with. And if you book anything above basic economy, which you might as, I mean, it's usually only $30 or $40 more. It's not nothing, but it's a price worth paying. You get assigned seating becomes a misnomer because it's actually selected seating. You don't get assigned a seat; you get to pick your seat. So I think people kind of get lost in that, but it's the much bigger issue with Southwest is the fact they're not giving free bags anymore, and there are a lot of issues with overhead bins filling up. If people were able to check their bags for free, 10 to 20 at minimum percent of those bags into the overheads would get checked, and you would immediately have no issues with overhead space. Um, Southwest, like I said, they're becoming like every other airline. For better or for worse, I think this is in a better way because this is just something that mature airlines need is reserving your seats ahead of time. You know, the school bus feel of the intra-Texas airline that existed 40 years ago just doesn't translate to flying between markets like Washington and Los Angeles. It just doesn't work that way. And I don't think interlining carriers like Turkish or Condor can sell Southwest tickets or want to, letting their passengers onto a airline with free seating. So it allows Southwest to kind of start to play with the big carriers. And if you're paying any more than bare minimum, you can pick your seats and make sure you're sitting with the people you want to sit with anyway. Um, yeah, I think it's a change for the better. You've always had to pay for advantageous seating on Southwest, one way or another, whether that was through early bird or the business select class. This is just kind of a different path to the same end on Southwest, and I think people once they figure it out will get more used to it than they realize. But it's the free bags going away that really brings Southwest further back compared to other airlines that I wish they would have not done.
Yeah,
I
but
will point
it's
out that if you are a card holder, you do still get free checked.
Yeah, right. The whole point, right? They want their credit card revenue.
right. It's all about money. It boils down to money. And Kellen says here that they'll check it for free if it's a full flight, which is standard amongst other airlines
Mm-hmm.
out there. It happened with our Delta flights recently. Dakota decided to bring a carry-on the way back. We got on the dedicated Comfort Plus bins on our Sarasota to Atlanta flight were full. I had to throw it 3 bins behind our row. I was very annoyed. That's why she said that I'll be grumpy if we talk about overhead bin space. It was a lot easier on the A321, which is weird because the bins were smaller. And I tweeted that out yesterday. Just want to make it a topic of known discussion on the program tonight that Airbus planes are inferior to Boeing planes in every way, shape, or form. Their overhead bins are smaller, the windows are smaller, and from what I've experienced, the landings on Airbus planes are harder, even though they're basically just a computer with wings and engines. I don't know why. Weird. Maybe Delta needs to retrain their Airbus pilots. And
Hey man, when the computer does it all for you, you get out of practice, man.
it's true. That is true. They forget how to fly when it gets a little windy up there, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
When all you got to do is just do your little stick.
yeah.
Well, here, a little there, here, a little, yeah. I
They'd
mean,
actually do it like that with 2 fingers too. It's like that. That's how
they
big
do,
that.
they do.
That's
I've seen it. I've
yep.
witnessed it because that's the type of people that Airbus pilots are. Even though they have no choice in the matter,
It's
that's still what I'm gonna run with.
yep. Well, can you believe that I was on 4 Delta flights over the last week, and I got 0 trading cards?
That is well. How many times did you ask?
0.
Right, because you were
I
always
was
gonna.
so
Would
fed
you
up with the entire
would you want to
situation.
stop and ask for a card after what he went through?
I mean, I wanted to. the last flight to Baltimore last night, I really wanted to, but we walked up and the pilots were just not there. So it was the only opportunity that I was giving myself. I was so upset after all the other flights. I didn't want to deal with it. But Fred, you wanted to talk a little bit about airline trading cards as well, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a neat thing that they're doing that's kind of a nod to plane nerds like us, which I always appreciate, just like a lot of special liveries are. And what we learned, my wife and I learned over the weekend, was that United has actually started giving out some cards as well. And they're not quite the glossy finish like the trading cards on Delta, but they have a nice little reflection on them, nice little silver. This is a max trading card, so it's kind of a paper like a cardstock finish, but it has all the information on the backside of it. Um, and then Southwest has begun trading cards as well. I think they have two out, um, two official ones. I got a couple unofficial ones last time I flew, but they have the Heart One card, which was, of course, the first aircraft that flew their new livery in 2013. And this is a legit trading card. It's glossy. It's nice. It has all the stuff on the back, all the stats like you would expect. And it's something that I think is just kind of a cool thing that airlines do to just kind of give a nod to the people who care about them, other than people just looking for the lowest ticket at any given flight. So I think it's a trend that I really hope sticks. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Delta's been doing it for a while. I didn't know how long Delta's been doing it, but it dates back to the 90s with Delta, a very
Hmm.
long time
Yeah.
ago. So they were the first. It seems like United has started. Southwest is the most recent player to the game. I'm not sure if any other airlines do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see American jump on here because we know that Robert Easom, their CEO, is like us. He enjoys the retro liveries. He enjoys all the things that make aviation cool for us. And I would be shocked if we didn't see American trading cards here. Um, at least like an index card like Gene Steratore did in that one game to figure out how much leg room is in the economy seats on American. Can you flip a trading card in between your seat and the knee on American?
I
It's
think
funny.
Spirit is actually doing them, and I'm not even kidding about that. I think I saw that Spirit has some cards out.
I think I saw that too,
It's a
actually.
So
great, it's a great
yeah,
allocation of bankruptcy relief funds, if you
The
ask me.
the sweater painted plane and now the printing of trading cards. So really using
I will say
the
that
funds
no
wisely.
airline does a special livery, a throwback livery like American does. They have some exceptional retro liveries.
TWA was at BWI again today. Ryan and I flew on that one not too terribly long ago.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
Out of Dallas. Actually, my most recent Delta trading card, I can pull it out from over here, was on my flight that you guys will see on Saturday out to Eagle, Colorado. I got the new Team USA A350 over here. The
Ooh.
757 pilot got me that one, so that was much appreciated. Again, really enjoy the Delta trading cards. I need to get myself back on United and get some of those and Southwest as well. Now, we get into something that is currently still an active situation. As much research as I can do on it. If you guys are seeing anything different, please let me know.
It's over.
It is okay. Good.
Yeah.
But good. I'm glad it's over. But earlier today, 4 airports in the Northeast United States, Dulles, BWI, Reagan National, and Richmond, were on a ground stop for a couple hours there due to a chemical smell. Uh-oh, my camera just disappeared, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
That's not good.
Bye, Nolan.
Uh-oh. Well, that might not be fixable for the rest of the thing. Anyway, due to a chemical smell, I just heard an unplug here. This is really not going well. Anyway, chemical smell in the Potomac Air Traffic Control Center. Do you guys have any other information on that while I try to rectify my issues over here?
That's like all I saw. Did you see anything else, Fred?
No, just exactly that. A smell in the TradeCon, which is kind of the control center that's not at an airport that directs aircraft in the transition period from cruise to takeoff or landing. Um, I would say it's just interesting how um, everything is so controlled by offsite facilities that I guess could be crippled by any number of events that close a whole airspace. So it's just kind of the way that air traffic control works right now. But yeah, I am seeing that BWI has tweeted that their operations are back up and running. But of course, you're going to have residual delays with late and diverted aircraft. So it'll probably make its way to tomorrow morning, but it's something that's been resolved in the immediate present.
We have a special guest on the program, guys.
Meow.
Meow, indeed.
Ollie,
All right, here I am,
Ollie's here.
making myself reappear at a different camera angle really quickly while we finish up the program tonight, because we've only got a couple more things to talk about. All right, there we go. For now, we're back. A little less quality than before, but we're good to go. All right, we've got one more thing to talk about on the agenda for tonight. One thing that all three of us have in common, Ryan and I talked about it in the last show, Flight Simulator, specifically Microsoft Flight Simulator, specifically the worst of the two, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. We've got an X-Plane developer and a long-standing Microsoft Flight Simulator developer working together to release a new plane. It came out yesterday, the Airsoft A340-600. Ryan, I know that doesn't tickle your fancy too much. Fred, I assume you'll
slightest.
be hopping in there when you get the chance, as the same as I will, because we're going to lose this plane soon in real life. Really only Lufthansa, actually only Lufthansa, if I'm correct, still operates the A340-600. Interested to see what this plane brings to the sim. I know Dulles is actually supposed to get the A340-600 for Lufthansa back this summer for the summer season. Gives us one more chance to go out there and see it. But Fred, what's your first route going to be when you finally get the chance to fly this plane?
It'll probably be something in the Northeast corridor. I think, like you said, to fly Dulles, they work it into JFK and Boston as well. But they were doing a Denver to Munich route on the Denver to Frankfurt route on the 340-600, which is, I think, pretty cool. But that thing, I mean, it's 2 miles long. I don't even know how it rotates, to be perfectly honest, without a tail strike. It's so illogical of an aircraft that I love it so much. They have the downstairs bathroom, the downstairs lavatory collection in the economy section, which is just cool for no reason. It's the only cool Airbus out there. The rest are just kind of modern contraptions that were done for cost saving. But this is the A340-600 is a real cool plane. So I think it's going to be one of the Northeast corridor airports, or maybe Denver to Frankfurt. But I'm looking forward to flying that.
Yeah, it should be fun. Ryan, do you have any plans ever to get Microsoft Flight Sim 2024?
Not until they force me.
What will be the factor? Like, if iFly comes out with a Max 9 tomorrow, are you buying 24?
There will definitely be some conversations to be had if that were to happen. But yeah, no, you guys have so many problems with it. I don't know why I would subject myself to that when, for the most part, everything I want is still accessible and usable, and for the most part, bug free in
Yeah.
2020. So I don't see any. Maybe I need to see it for myself on my own screen and not through screenshots. But I'm not gonna lie, man, that it doesn't look that much better.
It's not.
In fact,
Yeah.
depending on the lighting, and sometimes I think 2020 actually looks better
I agree.
than 24. So I will eventually, but not until I'm absolutely forced to, because as the three of us have talked about ad nauseum, they did not need to do this.
Right.
They should have just kept developing 2020, keep things moving forward. I mean, there were still projects for 2020 that were ongoing. And then all of a sudden, the Sobo was like, bang, brand new sim.
Well, and they said that every airline would work out of the box from 20 to 24, and exactly 0 of them worked out of the box. So they weren't honest about that. I don't know where they got the mandate for this. No one wants the walk around mode. It's cute like 2 times, but it just kind of gets in the way. There's a lot more gimmicks in here that seem catering towards people who just casually like to game rather than people who actually enjoy the simulator experience. So if they come out with the 2028, we're gonna have a real problem.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to make a decision as a hobby whether we even entertain 2028 if they do that. So I think they really need to just let a simulator mature. And if it's 2024, fine. it's going to take a few years because it's still pretty far. But yeah, they really, I don't know where they got the mandate for it because there just wasn't one.
Again, it's the same thing driving Southwest, I believe. It's all about the money. That's all it's ever about. Not particularly about the person who's using it like we are, even though we are enjoying the current game. They're going to come out with a 2028. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll see maybe a 2032 would be the next one that I'd be willing to probably shell out some money for. And we even have like the Bluebird 757. I haven't heard anything about that coming to 2024. It's going to be 2020 and 2020 only out of the box, the last I heard, right?
It's going to be 2024. They're going to
Okay.
introduce an update. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, this has been in production so long that, yeah, it's just, yeah.
We don't even have a PMDG 700 in 2024 yet. They're still
we don't.
working through that series, which is ridiculous. And
But what about the 600?
I think the 600 came out for 24.
I think it has to.
No?
But the
absurd.
PMDG's flagship product, the 747, hasn't even come out for 20 yet.
Right.
Because, yeah.
And it's not gonna because they stopped.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're running out of time. I mean, if you're like me, or if you guys are like me, if you are, we're running out of time for the 747 to do current routes for.
Especially the 400. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're going to be reduced to freighter routes here if Lufthansa's plan goes through within the next 2 years. So the 8 will be the only passenger serving 747 in service, and that'll diminish our routes there for that. So just an interesting little thing, and the sceneries seem to be a little bit better. I don't know, like what.
Yeah, but they were great. Like that's not
right.
You know,
I don't know.
they
And
can't
I'm
still figure, they still can't figure out double jetways, and FSX can figure that out.
right. Yeah.
It's some of those things. Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for Chase Plane to be compatible with the newest sim update beta, and I still can't get the FS Labs A321neo to work since the Pratt & Whitney update came out. So it's just like super frustrating for me because that's what I want to fly right now. I want to do a Delta JFK to Salt Lake City in a 321neo with the door plugged correctly, but I can't unless I want to go over to X-Plane, which if there's an FS Labs A321neo in Microsoft Flight Sim, I don't really want to go over to X-Plane. So there's all that. There's a lot of things happening. Not the most positive episode of Nolan's Aviation Happy Hour. However, I do want to make a slight announcement here, a slight format change from what I thought this show was actually going to be when I started. I thought it was going to be me, and I thought it was going to be maybe a different person every week. And then when Ryan and I were on last week, I kind of realized throughout the show that if it's just me and one guest, it's going to be a little bit weird sometimes because I don't have that personal relationship like I have with Fred and Ryan with every guest that I'm going to have on the show. So, in order to rectify that, yes, there will still be fun guests on the show. However, whenever Fred and Ryan feel like they want to come on and join me for an aviation happy hour, they are more than welcome to. Ladies and gentlemen, your official, unofficial co-hosts of Aviation Happy Hour, Ryan and Fred. There they are. We're all there, all here together. Whenever they want to come on, they are more than welcome to. So that's how we're going to close out this episode. Again, sorry it was not the most positive episode, but hopefully that little last bit of good news there was enough to carry you in to the next 2 weeks until we see you again. The next show will be on Friday, March 27th. 2026 at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And until then, my friends, we will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Adios.